let's go ahead and get started. Let me welcome you to our second of We are happy you are with us this morning or evening, depending on where you are joining us from. Today we'll be featuring the materials science and engineering and the chemical and biomolecular engineering programs. So first we will cover material science engineering and then chemical and biomolecular engineering. So just a few housekeeping items. We are recording this webinar and it will be on our YouTube page probably within the next few days. So no need to worry about taking any notes or missing anything. You also can see our past webinars while you're there. We ask that you please submit any questions in the Zoom Q&A section. We have our wonderful team there. They'll be able to answer your questions. Some questions will be answered behind the scenes, and then other questions will be answered live depending on the nature of the questions and what's being covered at the time. So next, this is just the agenda. We're going to go through introductions, talk about the University of Pennsylvania, the PhD program's overview, admissions, and then the two programs we'll be covering. I'll start with myself for introductions. My name is Jacqueline Aldworth and I am the PhD admissions manager. I also have Abby Kalkstein with me, who is the Associate Director of Graduate Admissions, and she will be behind the scenes diligently responding to any questions that you may have. And lastly, we have Dr. Boon Tao Lu with us, and he is the Senior Associate Dean for Education and Global Initiatives, and he will be taking over for a minute here.
All right, sorry, I was muted. All right, so first of all, it's wonderful to see everyone here today. And I think we are in for a really exciting session. There'll be two departments that are presenting today. The first would be Material Science and Engineering, followed by Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering. I'll start off by saying that this is a really wonderful time to join Penn Engineering. We recently just opened our brand new data science building, the Amy Gutman Hall, that will be bringing together researchers from not only within engineering, but all across campus to work on topics at the intersection of data science and engineering. At the same time, a while ago, there's also the Venture Lab at Tangen Hall, which is a kind of a interdisciplinary facility between School of Design, Engineering School, and Wharton to promote entrepreneurship among our students. And I'm sure some of you, as you go through your PhD studies, may be interested in commercializing your work at some point. Now, closer to material science and chemical and biomolecular engineering, there is the Vangelos Energy Building and also UCity. And within that, we'll be bringing together researchers to really work on very groundbreaking, important research of global significance in the area of energy and sustainability, and also precision engineering for health. And I'm sure you'll be hearing about this throughout the sessions today. Now, on today's call, in addition to faculty members, the graduate group chairs, we also have the PhD coordinators and members of the department that will be telling you about all the wonderful things that's happening in both departments. And I hope you will enjoy this session. So with that, I'm handing it back to Jacqueline and Abby.
Thanks so much. So we know that you're interested in programs at Penn, but we're going to go over a little bit more about Penn. So what makes us unique here at the university? So why Penn? We were the first university in the nation. We were founded by Ben Franklin in 1740. Penn Engineer was founded about 122 years later in 1852. We are considered a large institution with over 26,000 students, most of those students being graduate students. We occupy over 3,000 acres of land across the city of Philadelphia and actually into the suburbs as well. There are 12 graduate schools across the university. Penn Engineering, as being one of the graduate schools, offers 14 master's programs and 6 PhD programs. We have 19 research centers and institutes focusing on areas like AI, engineering and healthcare, and robotics, access to incredible resources such as libraries, centers for affinity groups, multiple fitness centers, and career services support. We are located in the exciting and innovative city of Philadelphia. Philadelphia is not just known as the birthplace of our nation, but also the city of brotherly love. The photo you're looking at, you are seeing here, is looking west along the Schuylkill River, which is one of the rivers that runs straight through the city itself. Philadelphia has played an extensive role in United States history. The city was founded in 1682 by William Penn, an English Quaker, where we also get our mascot namesake from. He was an advocate of religious freedom at the time. Philadelphia served as the capital of Pennsylvania, as the Pennsylvania colony during the British colonial era. The city has since grown to come to play a vital role throughout our American history. We may be the 6th largest city in the nation, but we are also the first in the nation of many. We're the first planned city. We have the first library, first daily newspaper, a hospital, an art museum, to name a few. So we are rich with history, art, culture, festivals, and educational opportunity. There's truly something to always do in Philadelphia. Affordable cost of living is another thing that's great about Philadelphia, especially compared to other East Coast cities. We are located just 2 hours from New York City and DC, and easily commutable to other cities via train, highway, you name it. It's very easy to get other places. We're accessible to public transportation. Although many students live on campus, there are a lot of amazing neighborhoods to check out that are easily acceptable by SEPTA, which is the local transit. We have the largest urban park in the world, known as Fairmount Park. You can bike there, row, hike, walking, exploring, throw a blanket down, read a book along the banks of the Schuylkill. It's really lovely. Philadelphia has also turned into a hub for life sciences, tech, manufacturing, and science centers. We also maintain extensive contemporary influence in business and industry, culture, sports, and music. So as we mentioned today, we'll be going over two of our 6 PhD programs, so Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering and Material Science and Engineering. Of the 6, we also offer bioengineering, computer and information science, material science engineering, electrical and systems engineering, and mechanical engineering and applied science. So next we're going to go over application requirements. The online application consists of the following materials as well as personal information about yourself. A resume. You don't need to get too fancy with your resume. Sometimes when you format in certain ways, those edits do not always come across in our application system, and it can be harder to read. There are great examples of resumes, just sample resumes on Microsoft Word or on the internet. Make sure the data matches what's in the application, especially around your academic background and your professional experience. I'm going to say that again. Make sure the data matches what's in the application, especially around your academic background and your professional experience. Your personal statement, please make sure you answer all of the prompts. We ask these questions for a reason. For letters of recommendation, we require 1 letter to be academic in nature and 1 professional. If you've been out of school for a number of years, you can substitute your academic for a professional one. Make sure your recommender agrees to write you a positive letter of recommendation. I can't stress that enough. Again, make sure your recommender agrees to write you a positive letter of recommendation. We see a lot of short, unenthusiastic letters of recommendation that could really hurt your application. We do not require that your letters of recommendation be on professional letterhead, but when possible, it is the best practice. Again, we don't require your letters of recommendation to be on professional letterhead, but when possible, it is a best practice. For the application fee, We do not waive the $90 application fee for any reason, and this fee must be submitted to have your application reviewed for admission. Transcripts. You must submit all transcripts from any schools that you attended. Please submit an unofficial transcript from each university or college where you earned course credit. So again, you want to submit an unofficial transcript from each university or college where you earned course credit. Your transcripts must be in English. Your transcripts must include courses taken, credit hours, and grades earned. Again, they must be in English and must include courses taken, credit hours, and grades earned. Official transcripts and evaluated transcripts are only required if you are admitted and choose to enroll. So if you are concerned about getting your transcripts evaluated by something such as WES, you really, I would say, start to do it now in the event that you are admitted, then it's essentially ready to go. But if not, you can wait until you get your decision and then you can move forward with the transcripts evaluation. For English proficiency scores, they are required if you are a non-US citizen whose first language is not English. We will go into more detail in just a few minutes on that. But again, they are required if you are a non-US citizen whose first language is not English. A GRE score is not required for any programs. If you choose to submit the GRE score, they must be official and sent directly to ETS. They will need to be from the past 5 years to be valid. The GRE can be a great option if you have been out of school for a long time or want to show your quantitative ability or supplement lower grades. And one of the great things we love about our application system, real quick before I go into English proficiency and scores, is that you will have a checklist. So once you submit your application, you will have access to a checklist landing page. You can have access at any time to see the status of your application. And from the checklist, you will be able to send reminders to your recommenders or change and update them if you need to. We'll also send you emails notifying you that your application is incomplete, but please know that it is your responsibility to complete the application and definitely use your checklist. Okay, next I'm going to talk about English proficiency scores and waivers. So applicants that are non-US citizens and whose first language is not English must submit English proficiency scores. Scores must be official and sent directly from the test center. If you email us at our graduate email and it comes through us, we cannot upload that into your application. The scores must be official and sent directly from the test center. We do not prefer one test over another. I'll make that very clear. So again, we encourage students to take the test that is more efficient for you. We do accept various home options as well. As for waivers, we process waivers manually after you apply. So if you apply and you meet the English proficiency test waiver, that will be done after you apply. If you meet any of the criteria mentioned on this slide, this requirement will be waived. However, this waiver will happen after you submit your application and is done by a member of our staff. So this is not done immediately, but we ask that you give us some time to review your application. And next, the best part, the deadline. So the deadline is December 16th. It's currently open. If you haven't begun your application, you absolutely can do so. They're due on December 16th. Some programs will utilize rolling admissions, but not all. So you can expect your decision by early April at the latest. And again, our applications are open and they're open until December 16th. And this is just more, if you have more questions and you want to talk to us offline after the event today, feel free. We have a great FAQ database that can answer actually tons of questions, but we're always there to help you. If you want to request more information on a program, I recommend taking a picture of this QR code. And for additional events, you can sign up through this QR code. We do have another Ph.D. open house. It's on the 20th. We have a coffee talk coming up, and then we also have a few Ask Admissions events. So if it's something that you're interested in and you would like to attend more events, that QR code would be the best one to scan to sign up for additional events. And with that, I am going to hand the program over to Material Science Engineering.
Okay. So hello, everybody. Once again, thank you for joining this virtual open house session. My name is Ling Li, and I'm a associate professor in the Department of Material Science and Engineering, MSE. So where I also serve as the graduate chair for the department. So in this role, I oversee various aspects of our graduate program. So I'm really glad to be here. So I'm also supported by our master program director, Dr. Mahadevan Kansa, and our graduate coordinator, Ms. Irene Clements. So in the next 25 minutes or so, I will first provide a general introduction to MSE, and also try to outline the key requirements of our graduate program. I hope this can help with your application. So following my presentation, so Ms. Irene will introduce herself and share additional insights, and particularly in terms of the graduate application process and other related topics. And so we're also joined by two outstanding MSc graduate student representatives, John Chen and Lindsay Jones. Both are actively involved in MATGO, which is our MSc graduate student organization. So they will share their experience and perspectives on studying and also life as a graduate student in our department. So finally, we'll have roughly 5 to 10 minutes for question and answer. So here in this slide, I list our contact information, and feel free to contact us if you have any questions related to the graduate application for MSE. So here, okay, so let me. So here I list the primary faculty members in the department. Currently, we have 18 primary faculty members, including 3 assistant professors, 2 associate professors, 10 full professors, and 1 professor of practice in the department. We also have 2 excellent senior lecturers, Dr. Mahadevan Kansa and Dr. Eric Huang. Again, Dr. Kansa also serves as the director of the master degree program. Our current department chair is Professor Xu Yan, and she has been in this role for 3 years. Again, I serve as the graduate chair, and Professor Eric Detsy serves as the undergraduate chair. As I will introduce later, the research interests of our MSc faculty are broad and dynamic, featuring cutting-edge programs in energy, electronic, and optical devices, biomaterials, soft matter, and computational material sciences. So as a MSc graduate student, I'm sure you will have plenty of opportunities to interact with all of them in person, in the classrooms, at department seminars, at socials, like pizza parties. So in addition to the primary faculty, we also have faculty members from other departments and schools as our secondary faculty, and also broadly as the MSc graduate group. Currently, we have 8 secondary faculty, and the MSc graduate group includes more than 75 faculty on campus. We'll conduct various materials-related research, and you can choose to do your dissertation research with any faculty in the graduate group. And you can find the complete list of MSc graduate group faculty on our department website. Here is a quick example from the top of the list, so showing on the right. Sorry. We just as a quick example, as you can see, we have Professor Ritesh Agawa, who is our primary faculty in the department. Then you have Dr. Allen from ESE, and then Dr. Bargentin from MEM, and Dr. Aratia also from MEM. So their research interests are also listed as well. So in addition to faculty, we also have amazing department staff who support every aspect of the department. So there are Ms. Irene Clements, who is the graduate program coordinator again, and she helps with all the graduate students in the department with their forms, registration, etc. And she's our legend. And she has been with the department for more than 55 years, and she remembers every student's name in the past. After my presentation, so I will invite Irene to introduce herself and say hi to everybody. She will also provide her suggestions, recommendations for applying for MSE graduate programs. We also have Ms. Vicky Lee, who is the undergraduate program coordinator. Ms. Pat Oberand, and Pat is our office manager. She's also the assistant to the department chair. So Pat, Vicky, and Irene all have been with MSE for a very long time, and we are very grateful to have them. We also have John Russell as marketing coordinator, and Dr. Steve, who manages the instructing labs. So next, I'm going to spend some time to introduce the materials research at Penn MSE. So first of all, Penn has one of the best material research facilities in the country. In particular, we have the excellent Science Center for Nanotechnology. So this is a very nice picture of the Science Center building. It is just next to our material science main building, which is called the Laboratory for Research on the Structure of Matter, or LRSM in short. So LRSM is directly connected with the Science Center through a corridor. So students and faculty can easily access a state-of-the-art material facility just next door from their offices and their own labs. So the Science Center is centered around 4 major research facilities, all featuring state-of-the-art equipment for nanoscale characterization, measurement, and fabrication. So this includes the cotton nanofabrication facility, the nanoscale characterization facility, the scanning and local proof facility, and the material property measurement facility. The cotton nanofabrication facility is a 10,000 square foot next generation clean room facility for micro nanofabrication, including tools for nanoscale and soft material integration, and a novel nanobio bay for nanobio interface research. The center also has a 10,000 square foot advanced underground facility designed for temperature stability and excellent isolation from vibrational, acoustic, and electromagnetic noises, which serves as the home for both the nanoscale characterization facility and also the scanning and local probe facility. The center has a property measurement facility, which provides state-of-the-art measurement capabilities in magnetism, optics, electrical, and thermal transport. Most MSE graduate students utilize the facilities at the Science Center for their research, and we also have excellent faculty, staff, and technicians to help with the students' experiments. Regarding the research in the department, Penn MSE is leading many material science research frontiers, including materials for energy, materials for health, materials for sustainable future, novel material synthesis, materials for quantum information and photonics, and bio-inspired materials. Because of the time limitations, I can't go into the details for every research direction. So here, I'd like to give 2 research examples that have just been recently published from our MSE faculty's work. And I also really encourage you to explore more about the research in the department so that you can better align your interest with the faculty research for your application. So the first example is from Professor Ritesh Agarwal's group. So Professor Agarwal is our primary faculty, and he's broadly interested in many nanoscale phenomena, including nanoscale photonics and electronics, nanoscale phase change materials, nanoscale transformation and assembly, nanocavity plasmonics, etc. So recently, Professor Agarwal's group reported this breakthrough research in the topic of solid-state transformation in ferroelectric crystalline materials. So this can be achieved through a controlled electrically induced amorphization process. So this work provides important insights for technologies such as advanced data storage. So this work was just published last week in Nature, and highlighted by Penn News. So the second example is from Professor Yuanwei Zhang. And Professor Zhang is the assistant professor who joined the department 2 years ago. Professor Zhang's research is centered on soft bioelectronic materials, flexible healthcare devices, and the materials for remote neuron modulation. So early this year, Professor Zhang and his collaborators published this very high impact work on Nature, reporting the design and fabrication of high-speed and large-scale intrinsically stretchable integrated circuits. So this work really represents a combination of innovations in materials, fabrication process design, device engineering, and circuit design. The devices that they designed and fabricated have significant impact on skin-like electronics for many potential applications, such as continuous physiological monitoring, real-time analysis of health conditions, etc. So these are just two very recent examples from the MSE faculty's work. Again, I'd like to encourage you to explore the faculty's research websites to learn more about the research interest, and feel free to reach out to them if you have questions. So here in this slide, I just compiled some recent research journal covers that highlight some of the research from our MSE faculty. Again, you can see that Penn MSE has a broad research interest from photonics to quantum materials, to biomaterials, nanomaterials, and sustainable materials, and energy materials, etc. So related to research, many of our faculty play important leadership roles on campus and beyond. So for example, Professor Vivek Shnoy is an expert in mechanobiology, and he is the director of the Center for Engineering Mechanobiology, CEMB. This is an SF Science and Technology Center, STC. Professor Cherry Kagan is the director for the Center for the Internet of Things for Precision Agriculture. This is an SF funded Engineering Research Center, ERC. And Professor Eric Stack is the director of the Laboratory for Research on the Structure of Matter, LRSM. LRSM is the longest SF-funded MERSEC center, which was established back in 1960s. So Dr. Stack is also the scientific director of the same Nanotechnology Center. So Professor Stack was also recently elected as the vice president for MRS, Materials Research Society, early this year. He will lead the board of directors as MRS president in 2025. Our department chair, Professor Xu Yan, also holds many other roles, including the director for Center for Analyzing Evolved Structures as Optimized Products. She's also the director for the NSF Research Traineeship Program between SEAS and the School of Design. So as another reflection of the scholarship excellence of our MSE faculty, many of our faculty have received the George H. Hamier Faculty Award for Excellence in Research, which is the most prestigious award in Penn Engineering to a faculty. So as you can see, we have a long list. And many faculty also hold endowed chair professorship. And of course, so it's all because of the hard work from PhD students, which makes this possible. So therefore, we are really looking forward to receiving your excellent applications as a graduate student for MSE. Okay, So next, I'd like to briefly talk about the MSE PhD program requirement. And you can find the detailed information and instructions on our department website. But briefly, to successfully graduate with the PhD program, you need to complete the following major milestones. So first, fulfill the coursework requirement, which is 10 courses in total and 7 courses in the first year. So then you need to pass the qualification exam at the end of the first year. After that, form your dissertation committee and pass the research proposal exam in your third year. And then continue conducting your dissertation research afterwards, and finally pass the defense. Okay, so regarding the first year requirement, so you need to first pass 7 courses in total for the first year and then maintain a minimum GPA of 3.0. And within the 7 courses, 3 are required core courses, including structural materials, thermodynamics, and phase transformation. All the PhD students are required to take these 3 courses. So at the end of the spring semester, you need to take the qualification exam. And this qualification exam is to test your ability to identify and investigate a significant research question, as well as the depths of your understanding of the materials covered in the 7 courses that you take in the first year. So the qualifying exam will be based on your research progress as well as a paper critique. For the paper critique part, you're supposed to choose a research article to analyze, provide your critical thinking, and give recommendations. As a graduate chair, I will hold a couple of meetings with the first year graduate students along the way to discuss the qualifying exam requirement and preparation. The MSE Graduate Student Organization, MATGO, also actively organize many activities and sessions to help the first year students with their preparation for qualifying exam. And I'm sure John and Lindsay will talk about this later. So the qualifying exam will take place in May, right after the spring semester. So we always encourage our students to apply for various graduate fellowships. So here, we list some of the external fellowships. So we also have an excellent list of internal fellowships that all the graduate applicants can apply for. And so our students also have a great track record in obtaining those fellowships. So all MSE faculty are very supportive in helping the students' application for these fellowships, so like writing recognition letters and providing advice. I really encourage the applicants to look into these opportunities while you prepare your application. Also, our MATGO will yearly organize a workshop, typically in the last week of September, to help right before the couple months before the deadlines, usually to help for the fellowship application. So another thing that I like to mention is that our graduate students also have plenty of opportunities to interact with external visitors, either from academia or industry. So we have weekly department seminars, and we invite leaders in academia and industry from broad area, research areas to give talks, and our graduate students got to have lunch with the visitors. So for example, this semester, we have professors from NC State, Penn State. So 2 weeks ago, we invited Professor Chris Chu, who is the Dean of Engineering at Northwestern University. And we also have visitors from industry. So this semester, we have Dr. Kuma Sankes from Dow Company, And so the students meet with their visitors, have lunch, share their research, discuss their research development with all the external visitors. So these lunches was usually very popular. So I also like to mention that here at Penn, your education experience is beyond MSE and Cs. So there are many schools and institutions that our MSE faculty are collaborating with, such as the School of Arts and Sciences, the medical school, the dental school, and School of Design. So some of our faculty even have joint employment, for example, with dental school. So if you're interested in biological, biomaterials research or biomedical research, so it's very convenient for you to directly interact with people in that realm. So last but not least, so we also encourage our students to go outside of the lab and make impact on our community through a variety of outreach and education programs. So for example, our department has a big presence at the Philly Materials Day, and we also have the Sing Nano Day and the Philadelphia Science Festival. So the MSc graduate students are all encouraged and actually have been the main force driving those to participate those outreach and educational activities. So lastly, you can find department updates, news, and events on our social media. In particular, so feel free to check out our MSE blog, and we regularly post social activity announcements. For example, we also have career development events, right? Student life stories, news about students, professors. So it's a great avenue for our MSc community to share our work and life. So feel free to check it out. With that, I will stop here. So here are our contact information. Feel free to email us if you have any questions when you prepare your applications. I wish all the best to your graduate applications. I look forward to receiving your applications and reviewing them, and I hope to see some of you at Penn MSE next year. Next, I'd like to invite Ms. Irene Clemens, our graduate program coordinator, to introduce herself and provide some additional information related to the graduate program applications. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn, for that excellent presentation of the Material Science and Engineering Department. And I, too, look forward to receiving all of your applications. And Lindsay and John will answer any further questions. At this time, I don't have any further information regarding your application, except to please get it in so that our admissions committee can review your application. And again, it's a pleasure, and we thank you for joining this morning. So John and Lindsay, if you would like to answer any further questions that the students may have regarding our program.
Yeah, I can go first. Thank you, Dr. Lee and Irene, for the introductions. I'm John Chen. I'm a second-year PhD student in Material Science and Engineering. I work in Dr. Kyle Vining's lab, who's dually appointed by Material Science Engineering and the Penn Dental School. I'm also one of the co-presidents, and Lindsay is the other one who will be talking more after me later. But we're the co-presidents of MAGO, which, like what Dr. Lee said, we're the graduate organization for Material Science Engineering. And our main purpose is to create a space for MSc graduate students to network and socialize. And to be a little bit more specific about what we do as a group, we plan a lot of events throughout the semester, throughout the year, including summer as well. So at the beginning of the semester, we usually work with the department to organize a welcome dinner. It's usually like barbecue style to kind of introduce new cohort of PhD and master students to the graduate students that are already in the department. And we also have weekly snack break. So this is just like a 30-minute to 1 hour a coffee time to connect the graduate students and just to also create a space for graduate students to, communicate and also chat. Like what Dr. Lee said at the beginning of the academic year, we also have a panel for fellowship application. So we'll invite senior graduate students who have received certain fellowships to answer questions and also provide guidance for early career graduate students in terms of fellowship application. And more social events that we have include this year, Lindsay came up with the idea of a pumpkin painting event for Halloween. We also do ice hockey in December. Go watch ice hockey in December and also baseball game during the summer. We also have ice skating events also in the winter, and sometimes we have board game night as well. And additionally, towards the time where the first year PhD students are taking the qualifying exam, we also schedule a panel to provide support for first year PhD students. So we usually have senior graduate students who are working in similar research areas as the first year PhD students to come together and to help the first years to discuss their qualifying exams and also take a look at the qualifying exam presentation. We also serve as a bridge between graduate students and the faculty members. So sometimes we will we will be communicated with needs or concerns from the graduate students, and then we will communicate with the graduate chair. So this year being Dr. Lee about graduate students' need, and Dr. Lee can also serve as a bridge between us and the rest of the faculty members in the material science department. In addition, we also participate in GSEC monthly meetings, GSEC being the graduate student group for the engineering school. And usually in these meetings, they announce budgets for each graduate program student organization. So we do get money from them. That's how we're able to be funded with all the social events that I talked about. And they also host social events in the engineering school, so you get to meet people outside of the department. And they also provide opportunities such as travel funds, specifically for attending conferences, etc. And so overall, my personal experience through MAGO, I feel like everyone has been really helpful and friendly, and especially senior graduate students, they're very willing to answer questions, provide help, especially regarding topics about transitioning into being a graduate student, which I really enjoyed last year when I was a first-year student. So yeah, that's what I have, and I will hand it to Lindsay, who's also, like I said, co-president of MAGO, to talk more about the student life at Penn.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm a second year PhD student in Karen Winey's group. And so yeah, just like talk a little bit more about student life and what, your first couple of years in Penn MSE might look like. Your first year, you're taking a lot of classes, and you're also assigned to your research advisor who will kind of, guide you through your 5 years or whatever at Penn. And they're a really great resource for really a lot of questions you have academically, research-wise. And so I found that, my advisor, Dr. Winey, has been really helpful throughout these whole first year and a half so far. So that's been really great. As well as my research group. That's a really great opportunity to talk to students that are older than you and then now younger than me as well, and really see a lot of different perspectives and just get to know the people in your research group, because you're all working on, sort of similar topics in your personal research. But I've also found that all the, faculty and staff at Penn MSE is always really super willing to help and super friendly, and just wants to see you succeed. I feel like that's the main thing. Everyone just wants, you to do your best and do what they can to help facilitate your success. Outside of school, I think Philly is a great place to do your graduate work because just the city of Philadelphia provides so much opportunities for art, culture, sports. Philly's a great sports town, has a big reputation for that. Last week I saw Hamilton at the Academy of Music. That was really cool. So you get to see just lots of different aspects of the city. As well as Jacqueline mentioned, it's very affordable compared to a lot of cities on the East Coast. So I think that's super important as a graduate student, to be honest. And so you get to have a lot of experiences And you can travel, like also like Jacqueline said, to DC, New York. You can go to the beach, it's an hour away. The mountains are an hour and a half away. So I think it's a fantastic place to live. And Penn is a fantastic place to learn and grow as a researcher. So I really recommend applying to Penn, and we hope to see you here.
Great, thank you, Lindsay and John. So I think we can either take questions related to for MSE, or we can just move on to BSE.
We do have a few questions if you'd like to answer them.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
The first one, it says, "Good morning. Thank you all so much for providing more information on Penn Engineering and the MSE department. This has been very helpful. I have two questions. One, could you please talk more about the difference between a professional and academic letter of recommendation? And two, for Dr. Lee, Lindsay, or John, could you share what typical career paths look like for students coming out of Penn MSE and what partnerships Penn MSE has with the industry?"
So for the first question related to the letters, right? The professional and academic letters. So Irene, do you have comments on that? So this is a part of the application requirement, right? So the letters for both professional and academic letters.
Yes, typically our faculty, when they're reviewing your application, they look for recommendation letters from academic institutions, but occasionally we get students who apply who provide letters from industry or outside of the academia. Am I correct, John and Lindsay? I think that is the case. Typically, the recommendation letters are from the institution, the academic institutions, if that's what the student is inquiring.
So I guess it really depends on the student's background, right? So if the student has some professional experiences, so the letters.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So the second question is related to career paths.
Yes,
right?
could you share what typical career paths look like for students coming out of Penn MSE and what partnerships Penn MSE has with the industry?
So I think for Penn MSE graduate students after the PhD program, we have pretty diverse career paths, both in terms of academia and also in industry, right? So many students continue in the past for postdocs and then also becoming professors in universities, as well as going to the industry. I think probably Lindsay may have some additional information from her own group, some examples maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I can think of like at least 3 different paths you could take that people in my group have done. So you could be a postdoc in like another university, whether that's in the United States or elsewhere. So that's like definitely one opportunity. The second would be you could work for like a national lab. So you could go to Brookhaven or Sandia and work as a scientist there. And then third, you could work in industry. So like the 2 most recent graduates from my group, one is working at Merck, and then one will be soon working at Dow. So those are just like 2 companies. Mine's like a polymer science group, so that's kind of why they went there. But I'm sure like different groups have different industry connections. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunities to work wherever you want, and I think the professors and the research at Penn is very respected and will definitely help you, get the career path that you would like to pursue.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay.
Perfect. And then another question is, I wish to know if MSE offers a GRA upon admission.
So usually the MSE graduate applicants, so when they apply, so they usually already identified a professor that they like to work with. So the first year, right? So the first 9 months was provided, in terms of support was provided by the school. And then after that, so it's typically supported by the professor that the student has been working with. Yes, so typically that's the case.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, and then the last question for your group, it says, what chances does someone who has secured a faculty member have over someone who hasn't reached out to an advisor for admission to the PhD program? So this is also a great chance to connect with those who they want to do research with.
So, yeah, I think for this question, it's really, I really encourage the students to reach out to the professor in terms of, let's say, aligning your personal research interest with the group. So this is a very beneficial in terms of the application.
Perfect.
And I would also just like to add that the advisors are assigned before the student arrives to begin the term. So that's why Dr. Lee is advising you to reach out to a particular faculty member if you are interested or if your research aligns with their research. Because in our department, we do assign the advisor at the time that you are admitted. So your admission letter would include the name of the advisor that you would be doing your research with.
Yeah, thank you, Irene.
Yeah, and I think that is all she wrote for MSE. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to take a brief pause and we're going to welcome Chemical and Molecular Bioengineering on with us.
Thank you.
And again, if you have any admissions questions or questions regarding the application, feel free to put them in the Q&A and our team can answer them in that area as well.
Good morning, Jacqueline.
Morning.
We are waiting for our graduate group chair to join, Dr. John Crocker, but I'd like to introduce myself. I am the PhD coordinator for CBE, Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering, and I assist students with any and all things they may need while they're in our program. And Dr. Crocker will be giving a presentation this morning and then answering some questions. And then we have a lovely group of PhD students who will be available to talk about their experiences in the program and what they enjoy about CBE at Penn. And they will be available to answer questions as well. And we have students spanning through multiple years of the program to give a better perspective of what it's like to be a PhD student in CBE.
Okay, just before Ashley and her team get started, we just want to address a few questions that we commonly get. The first one would be the fee waiver question. Unfortunately, we do not have a fee waiver code or anything of that nature for anyone that is looking for one. Unfortunately, we do not allow them. So that is for across the board. There are some exceptions, and that's for people affiliated with Penn. So if you're affiliated with Penn and you feel like you might meet one of the standards, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be able to tell you if you are eligible for a fee waiver. We also had a question about, is there a part-time session for the PhD programs? There is not an option to go part-time and have full funding. So typically PhD students are full-time students and they receive full-time funding while they are full-time students. And another question that we're seeing a little bit of, also about reaching out to faculty that you're interested in working with. We highly recommend reaching out to any faculty that you would like to do research with or you feel like would support what your thesis is. That's highly encouraged to reach out and make contact with them. And again, unfortunately, we are not offering fee waivers for those that attended this session. We do not offer them in general. And last one I'll cover before I hand it over. Someone asked about the GRE. The GRE is optional. It is not required for our application. It is up to the applicant if they wish to submit their GRE scores.
I'd also like to chime in that if you have program-specific questions about our PhD program, you're always welcome to reach out via email, and I'm always willing to have a discussion or conversation about what our program looks like specifically at Penn. It looks like Dr. Crocker has joined us and is setting up his presentation. So we will give the floor to him in just a moment.
All right, hi, I'm John Crocker. I'm the graduate group chair of the CBE department, and I'm in charge of the master's program and the PhD program. So I have just a small slide deck that I can just run through to give you an overview of both programs. If I can get it to share, hold on a second. So as I said, I'm John Crocker. I'm on the left. The chair of the CBE department is Chinedum Osuji. If you apply to the department, I hope you do, you're probably going to be dealing with my colleague Dayun Lee, who runs both admissions for both the master's and the PhD programs. And you've already met Ashley Culver, who's the grad group coordinator. She's a full-time staff person in CBE that sort of works with all the PhD and masters. So who are we? We are currently 21 primary faculty. And we are another 10 faculty in other departments that are affiliated with us or secondary faculty, and we have 30 postdoctoral fellows working in the department. So as an overview of our census, we're 102 PhD students. That number fluctuates a lot as people come on board and they graduate. We have 41 master's students currently enrolled, and we've got about 25 research active faculty. I like to think that I've been running this program now for 9 years, and I like to see it as sort of a student-centered program. So my pledge to all of you would be that if you come, you will be treated with respect, and your needs for well-being, education, training, and career placement will be provided. And basically, the core philosophy I bring to managing the grad group is that happy and productive students are a win-win. You win, your advisors win, the research wins. It's kind of obvious. And I would say that the good news is I think that the faculty mentoring and engagement in the department are very strong. I think I can say honestly that every faculty member in the department is really dedicated to their students' advancement. And we also have sort of a track record now of both putting people in internships and putting people into good jobs that they like afterwards. So I'm going to jump back and forth between the master's and PhD programs a bit on my slide, so hopefully that won't confuse too many people. But let's do the master's degree overview first. It's a 4-semester program, but many students, if they wish, can complete it in 3 semesters. The requirements are 10 course units, a course unit being a full normal load 1-semester class. Of those, 3 are core, 1 is a math class, and 6 are electives, and I'll say more about that breakdown later. Many of our students opt for some sort of research experience in one of our faculty members' labs, and they then use those to get letters of support, which they can use either for PhD admissions or to get a better job. Many of our students also use the summer for internships, and I'll say more about that in a minute. I would say the group of master students we get, about half of them will generally do research in a lab, and some of those will actually contribute to a research paper. Between 0 and 3 students every year will bridge to the Penn PhD program from the master's program. And no student should come into the master's program expecting that to happen, but it does happen sometimes. And I would say the breakdown is about 40% of the students coming in are seeking a PhD in the United States, if not from us, from somebody else. And about 60% are just here to get a master's program, get a master's degree, and get a good job in the US. The PhD overview, I'd say it's about half students that are domestic and half students that are international. We make a big point about it being a 5-year program. And in case you haven't heard, if the PhD program has guaranteed funding, so long as you're showing up in lab and doing your work. So you can't lose funding in year 4. And we take very seriously people being able to graduate in 5.0 years after they arrive, because we figure you have more important things to do with your life than sit around being in grad school. We recently rolled out an individual development plan, or an IDP. This is still actually in progress. But this is essentially a plan that every mentor will meet with every student once a year just to talk about their career development and make sure that they're on track. The PhD is obviously exists to give you advanced research training and professional mentoring. And I would say that we have quite a large, at this point, industrial and academic alumni network. And I would say of our PhD students, about 15% of them are academic track. That is, they go on to become professors themselves. The CBE core curriculum has these 5 classes in it. It's pretty standard for a chemie curriculum. The students have to take 2 math and then 3 CBE cores in thermodynamics, reactor design, and transport. The PhD students take these 5 classes mostly in their first year before qualifying exam, and they take another 5 graduate level electives. But which electives they take, they usually decide in talking to their PhD advisor. The master's degree is very similar. They take the same 3 core CBE classes, okay, thermo, reactors, and transport. They only have to take 1 math class, and they have a certain amount of freedom about which math class they take, but we recommend they take 5100. And then of the remaining 6 credits, they have to take 2 of their electives from CBE, and then the other 4 are completely free. They can take them from any engineering or science discipline. And that even includes classes outside of C's or in the Wharton School. But we limit students to 1 Wharton class. The elective classes can sort of be grouped into these sort of 7 categories, and this is just the latest list we have of some of the electives that we offer in CBE. And, you know, I'm going to carry on rather than reading all of these, but just to sort of say you have a lot of choices in electives. Well, there we go. So this is what our primary faculty look like. There's 21 of us, if I counted correctly. And I won't read all of our names. And we do research in a bunch of different areas. And this sort of gives you sort of the roadmap to what we work on and how we work on it. But I would say that CBE is especially strong in the areas of simulation and data science. We're quite strong in soft matter, like colloids and interface science, and sort of various kinds of materials technology. And we have actually a compelling effort in energy and cell and biomolecular engineering as well. All right, masters. I talked about how masters do internships. That usually takes the form of a summer program, an optional practical training, or CPT. And Ashley can help you find one, but usually the students do a good job of finding their own competitive fellowships. And so you can also talk to your fellow master students to figure out how to do that. And one of the nice things about our program is something called academic field study. So if you're having a really good summer internship and your employer is interested, you can actually extend your internship into the following fall. So that would be your 3rd semester at Penn. You can essentially just do internship. And now the fact that you can do your curriculum in 3 semesters allows you to essentially have that whole 3rd semester as essentially to finish a 7-month internship in a company. Now this says you have to be a little careful when you're scheduling your classes, but Ashley can help you with that if that's something you want to do. So this is a list of some of our recent employers. I haven't rebuilt the list in a while. And some older employers are on this list. If you just want to sort of take a quick look. These are sort of the standard companies you'd expect to place people with a CBE master's degree in the US. All right, so swinging to the PhD program. The PhD timeline, I said it's a 5-year program, and every year has a set of milestones. In year 1, you're doing your courses, mostly your core classes. You're getting an advisor assigned to you, and you're taking the qualifier. In year 2, you're finishing elective coursework. You're being a TA with your teaching practicum, and you form a thesis committee. Year 3, you have to do something called a thesis proposal exam, which is when you pretty much have decided what your thesis is going to look like, so that you can then spend the next 2.5 years making it happen. And then in year 4, we essentially have additional meetings and sort of career development things like the Graduate Symposium and also a Dow Symposium. And then in the end, you write and defend your PhD thesis. So the PhD year 1 milestones, this is something that if you came in, you'd be doing next year. The CBE department at Penn, like most chemistry departments in the country, does pooled admissions, which means that you're not assigned to an advisor before you arrive. Rather, you admitted to the program, and then you need to find an advisor after you get here. I think the system works really well, and we have good student satisfaction with this. And the way we work it is that the students all attend a 30-minute seminar from every faculty member taking students, and then they schedule one-on-one meetings with the faculty that they're interested in after that. And then usually in mid-October to late October, I ask students to give me 3 ranked names, okay, of who they would like to work for. And then I try to assign everybody to their first or second choice. And I usually manage that with about 85 or 90% of the time. And I think there's high student satisfaction with the process. And you can ask some of the CBE students on board if you want. At the end of the first year, we have a qualifier exam. And this is really just a 60-minute oral exam with 3 written questions and a 15-minute research presentation, just the work that you've been doing in your first year in your advisor's lab. And we try to get the outcome determined on the same day so that people aren't on tenterhooks. And usually out of a pool of 20 students, we might have 1 or 2 getting a conditional pass every year, but failing is very rare, okay? And so we really see the qualifier exam as an opportunity to identify students who need additional support rather than a mechanism for throwing out students we don't like, okay? Year 2 milestones, students have to get assigned as TAs. This is their teaching practicum, and it gives students a teaching experience, and also it gives them the opportunity to master some subjects that are usually closer to their research. We try to cap it at 8 hours per week on average. And whenever possible, I try to assign students to their advisors, okay, because that's kind of fun for everybody. In year two, there's also an organization called CHEGA, which is the student life organization run by the graduate students. The officers are usually second-year students. And there's usually a couple of MSE students on that board. And they're responsible for all the student life events and for coordinating our activities with both the faculty and student governments. They organize happy hours, holiday parties, a post-qual party, and they help out with recruiting events. And I'm very grateful to have them here because they give me continuous program feedback. So if I'm doing something bad, they let me know discreetly. Year 3 is we have to form a thesis. So we form a thesis committee at the end of year 2. It's pretty basic. You have your PhD advisor, 2 other CBE faculty, and 1 outside member. And then the chair of your thesis committee is not your advisor. So they can actually provide an interesting sounding board if you're having any sort of disagreement with your advisor, which is rare, but does happen. At the end of your 3rd year, you're also doing an oral thesis proposal. So you have to turn in a 5-page written report to your thesis committee. And you make just a simple 30-minute closed-door presentation of the work that you're going to do for your thesis. And then it's mostly just a Q&A session with your committee where they're trying to give you advice about how to start on the road to your thesis. And again, while it's an exam, that means you can fail. That's a very rare outcome. Year 4 and 5 milestones are, the 4th-year students give a 30-minute lunchtime presentation to the entire graduate group so they can kind of flex about how amazing they are at research to their friends. And that's usually pretty fun. And at the same time, they're also providing to their committee an update about their work in the last year. And there's also the Graduate Student Symposium, which the 4th-year students give a poster and the 5th-year students give a talk. And this is an opportunity for networking with sort of various industrial reps and industry-employed alumni that come to this. But it's really just an event for helping students understand career networking and doing a little professional development. And then in your 5th year, you put your nose to the grindstone, you write a thesis, and you defend it. Now, like a lot of places in STEM, the thesis is not a 300-page document that you have to be scared about writing. It's usually just your papers stuck together with an interesting introduction and conclusion. And your thesis defense is just a 45-minute public presentation. And usually it's just a bunch of people slapping you on the back and telling you what a great job you did, okay? But, we all try hard to come up with some interesting questions for the student, but it's not really a stressful situation. Okay, thank you. Those are my slides, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
We did have some questions come up. The first one, are you accepting students from other backgrounds like physics into your program?
We do that. We take students from both physics and chemistry. Oftentimes those students will struggle with some of the more chemie-specific core classes. So we have to do an evaluation as to whether the students are ready for that. But we do it.
Okay, fantastic. The next one, essentially the student is asking if they still have 3 credits pending in their master's. Can I still apply to start my PhD application for fall?
I think that's fine, honestly. Maybe Ashley has an opinion on that.
By the time you matriculate, which would be next fall, 2025, you would need to have those courses completed. And I believe you'd have to submit your official transcript at that time, should you be offered admission and plan to matriculate. But if they're pending right now, that's fine. You can submit an application.
One thing I would add is that School of Engineering at Penn is actually very generous with transfer credits. So a lot of the students who come in with masters can transfer up to 9 credits, which is a great deal. And then faculty really like to work with those students because they're really ready to hit the ground running rather than sort of spending a lot of time in their first couple of years taking those classes.
Our next question is, how are centrally admitted students supported by departments in their first year? Is admission entirely dependent on faculty funding for the CBE department?
So yeah, I think this is referencing our pool admission. So we try to estimate in during the admission season how many funding slots we'll have in the fall. And we've gotten very good at doing that over the years. So if we think we have 20 funded positions in October, or we try to admit 20 students. And oftentimes we might fall 1 or 2 short. And that gives me a little flexibility with assigning students to groups. And then we will try to fill those slots either with postdocs or by recruiting talented students from the master's pool.
Okay. 2 more questions, and then we can keep moving on with your group. What if the professor does not have any funding, but the student wants to work in their group or research area?
Well, that is ticklish. In general, it is not possible for me to assign students to faculty without funding. The funding is covered, their funding for students is covered in their first year for all students, so the students don't have to worry about that. But I am constrained. If I have many students come in with fellowships, and so just fellowship students would be an exception to that rule.
Fantastic. And then the last question before we can let you move on. Are there any extracurricular opportunities to get involved with the graduate committee in CBE?
I think that might be a better question for the Chega students.
Perfect. Well, we will hand it over to them.
Yeah, so as Dr. Crocker said earlier, I'm Jack. I'm a second year and I'm on the Chega board. Every single year, we elect new representatives for Chega that are second years. So once you get to the second year of your PhD program, you have the opportunity to put your name out and be involved for all of that fun stuff.
And Jack, what does Chega stand for?
Chega stands for Chemical Engineering Graduate Student Association.
Thank you.
Of course.
So I see an additional question, which says, how long is the PhD program for a student with a master's degree? So we just talked about how master's students can come in and they can often transfer many of their credits. It's really up to the student and the advisor. If you came in with a master's student and you found an advisor and you could talk to them and say, look, I really don't want to be here for 5 years. I think I'm going to hit the ground running and I could graduate in 4. If your advisor agrees, I don't have a problem with that. So I think a lot of people who come in could leave in 4 years.
Another question is, can I apply to the PhD program without having a master's degree?
Definitely. I would say probably 90+% of our students come in without a master's degree. So that's not a problem at all.
And we have one more. Should I request a recommendation letter from my current institution while I'm still completing my thesis for my master's degree or from my previous institution?
Do you have an opinion on that, Ashley?
I think a recommendation letter from your previous institution would be fantastic. There's opportunity to put several recommendation letters in your application, and you should definitely have one from a faculty member that you've worked with or somebody that you've worked with in your current institution to really reflect your progress now as a student, especially when it comes to how you work and interact with research. And
So I
if
see a new
there's,
question
okay.
that says, is it necessary to have research experience to apply to a PhD program? I would say it's pretty typical, but it's not strictly required. In general, I would want to see somebody have a research experience because doing research is a little different than what people think it is. So sometimes we find students who very rarely they get into the program and they discover after a year or two they really don't like doing research. So that would be my only concern if you had no research experience before you came into the PhD. I'm wondering if there are any questions from the audience for our fabulous graduate students about like student life or their experiences, because they're here.
So we are now going to pivot to our lovely graduate students, and I will have them go around and introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their experience in the program. And then we will open it up for discussion and questions and answers. As I've said, I'm Ashley Culver. I'm the graduate group coordinator for the Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering program, and I am here to assist you with all of your needs while you are in the program. Jack, would you like to get us started?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Jack Granite again. I'm a second-year PhD student in CBE. I did my undergraduate degree at the University of Delaware, and I am in Chinna Masuji's research group, where my research is focused on organic solvent separations using nanofiltration and organic solvent reverse osmosis technologies.
Yeah, I can go next. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We're really excited to talk to you about Penn's CBE program. My name is Jackson Violetel. I'm also a second year Penn CBE student. I'm in Dr. Mark Allen's group. Our group is highly interdisciplinary. We work with a lot of electrical engineering and material science students to do silicon manufacturing and nanofabrication. And so if that's something you're interested in or other aspects of student life, definitely ping me in the chat and we can answer any questions.
I can go next here. Can you guys hear me all right? Okay. My headphones are a little funky, but my name is Bobby. I'm a fifth year PhD in the Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering program. I work with Dr. Bomi Lim. So a little bit away from the catalysis and polymers that you might regularly see in chemical engineering. So I'm a little bit more on the bio side, but I've really enjoyed the program. And as a fifth year, I feel like I've seen a lot of the stuff that the program and professors have to offer. So please let me know if you have any questions.
I'll go next. Hello, my name is Gabriela Gomez Dopazzo. I am a second year PhD student. I graduated from the University of Puerto Rico with a bachelor's degree in chemistry. Currently, I'm co-advised by Dayon Lee and Kate Stebby. So there's a lot of different work going on in both of the groups, but my work focuses on bicontinuous interfacially jammed emulsion gels, and like different applications that you can use them for, as well as integrating autonomous experimentation methods for their fabrication. I'm also on the Chega board along with Jack and Peyton here. So if you have any questions about that, I can happily answer those as well. Thank you.
Hi, I can go next. I'm Peyton Collins. Sorry, I'm outside. I'm also on the Chega board. My undergrad was at the University of Pittsburgh, and I did chemical engineering. But I did my undergrad research in catalysis, and then I kind of did a switch up. I'm also in Bomi Lim's lab with Bobby, where we look at transcriptional dynamics using live cell imaging. I'm second year, if I mentioned that. Really enjoyed my time so far. Happy to answer any questions.
And Peyton is letting us know that it is actually a beautiful fall day outside in Philadelphia. Truly lovely. This is right outside the town building, which is where a lot of our labs and classes are, although we have spread out over campus in the last year or so. So I don't see any questions in the chat at the moment for our students. We do have one. The question is, during your time at UPenn, what was the moment that made you realize you made the right choice in committing to UPenn for your PhD? And this is a question to our PhD students.
I could go with that. Right. I feel like out of all the people here, I've been here the longest as a student. So yeah, I think Professor Crocker kind of alluded to it. Like research ebbs and flows, and there's a lot of work to be done, and sometimes things don't work. And I found that there's a serious like culture of collaboration within the department. And so in meeting with my committee, the professors who represent a couple of different disciplines, and they want to help advise me and push me in the right direction in my project. When I ran into things, they were very helpful. They were very understanding. Look, this sort of thing happens. And so it's great to feel like everybody is a bit of a resource in one way or another. There's lots of overlap between things that people are doing and things that people don't understand. And so there's always someone you can go to for, I guess, hey, I've run into this. What do you think about me trying this, this, and this? And if they don't know, then they'll connect with somebody who does. So there's, again, a lot of communication and a lot of collaboration in our department, which I think is great. Because again, you're doing something that is novel, something that maybe hasn't been done before, or the approach hasn't been used before. So you're going to run into problems, and people are very willing.
I'll second that, but also on like the social aspect as well. I did a REU program before I came to Penn. So I came here on a summer internship as an undergrad. And it felt very nice. And I like saw how all of the grad students knew each other and were friendly. And that's something that I wanted for myself. So that's one of the reasons I chose Penn. And then being here, I see that like it is true. I've been here about a year and a half now as a PhD student. And there's so many friendly people, whether they be students or staff or faculty, that are willing to talk to you outside of research and just like, how is life? How have you been? And I think that's really important, especially when a lot of us are so far from home and our friends that we've had our whole life. So that was one of the things that I was like, okay, I'm in the right place for me.
I guess since there isn't another question, I'll just keep the ball rolling with these answers. I think something else that's definitely worth mentioning is that Penn is in Philadelphia, which is a major US city. And it's really important during your PhD that you can find balance and still make time for yourself to, live a life and, be the young person that you probably are, and see your friends so that you don't burn out, right? And I think that Philadelphia is kind of like the perfect medium. And that was kind of something I realized throughout my first year, which is that, it's not too big and overwhelming like New York, where you have so much going on and you feel bad about not going to something, but there's also always stuff to do if you need a break. And you won't get bored here. And it's easy to find that balance.
Yeah, I can echo what Jack said and kind of add to that and say that within an hour, I didn't realize this initially, but within an hour of the city, you can go to a beach, you can hike in mountains, or you can visit another city like New York via train, right? And so I think that's quite unique as far as Jack said, city life goes. And of course, there's schools and universities in other cities that are, similarly fun to Philly, but I don't think they have that unique aspect of being able to do something that appeals to pretty much everybody. And with that, another thing that was very appealing to me and something that solidified my decision in Penn came when I was studying for our qualifying exams and realizing how much our cohort came together to study. It really allowed me to reflect on the fact that Penn is, I hesitate to call Penn like competitive in the sense that people want to, they don't want to do well at their peers' expense, right? There is not this, I want to beat my neighbor out type of culture, but it is competitive in the sense that we all want to succeed together, right? And so everybody is trying to lift each other up and to do well collectively as a group, which is really exciting.
So I saw a question come in that asked how big the cohort was for the CBE students. I assume they mean how many PhD students per year in CBE? If we have 100 students and they're here for 5 years, the 5-year average is about 20 per year. And I would say probably 17 or 18 of those are admitted through the normal process, and the other 3 are recruited from the master's program.
So we have no questions at the moment, but I'm wondering if anybody has questions about research, about life in the program. Please feel free to ask any questions that you have on your mind about the CBE program at Penn. And I'd like to say that we do a lot of things with our students that are community building. Immediately following this webinar, we'll be heading downstairs at noon for our annual graduate Friendsgiving gathering, where we have a big catered lunch with the whole department and all of our graduate students. So we do different things that are fun and interesting for our students to kind of build community and give a break. And it's very fun.
Okay, I saw another question just came in that said, can PhD students complete a summer internship even if it extends their graduation? I'm going to say that the answer is yes, but it doesn't happen a lot. I would say this is something that students are increasingly interested in doing because they're looking for getting a job afterwards, and they still see an internship as a great way to sort of test drive a potential employer. And it would really come down again to whether the advisor agrees. And it has happened. That's all I can say.
I guess I could speak to that because BOME let me do one this past summer. And again, that's just because we had a lot of conversations based on where I was with my research, what the expectations were, and again, a lot of communication, a lot of agreeing on what we were going to see during and after the internship. So it's going to be a discussion case by.
We have another question in chat. How do research centers work in terms of supporting students and allowing students to participate in projects?
So I'll kick it off and maybe the students can expand. So there's a bunch of different centers on campus that have different names. And if you Google around the engineering school, it's like this bewildering alphabet soup of all these different centers. And I think it varies, but a lot of the faculty are members of different research groups. And then usually the students are then free to use whatever infrastructure or equipment are associated with that group. So maybe the students have stories.
I think other than just participating in projects, something that's also amazing about all the different centers at Penn is they have a lot of different events. So for example, for the research world that mainly in this chat, right, in this call right now, Gabriella and I live in, we have the new center at Penn, the Center for Soft and Living Matter. We had like a huge kickoff meeting this summer, tons of great talks from professors, posters from students. And with that center and a lot of the other centers at Penn, you have the opportunity to do a lot of networking and, you know, kind of maybe even interdisciplinary collaboration between different departments at Penn and different universities, nationally and internationally, which I think is really cool.
We have another question. Since advisor matching happens during the first year, is it encouraged to reach out to faculty before submitting the application? And I would say, yes, it's definitely beneficial to reach out to faculty, to have conversation. If you're near a conference that is happening where there will be some chemi presentations or it's chemi focused, maybe take a look and see who's presenting, see if you can go see who's presenting research. But definitely reaching out via email is helpful in having conversations. But it's not
So I guess
required.
yeah, that was what I was going to say. It's absolutely not required. And some students are very stressed out about it, right? And when some students, when they get stressed, they're like, oh, I'm just going to do it before everybody else. And if that helps you, great. But if you're just going to focus on graduating and your summer activities before you come here, and you want to focus on finding the right match after you get here, that's absolutely fine. The system is set up for that. And I would say, oftentimes you can look at their applications and they'll say, who are you interested in working for, that you have to put the names down on your application. And then I look at who they put down in October, and sometimes there's no overlap. And that's absolutely okay. I don't even look at the applications when I'm doing advisor assignment. And yet some other people come in knowing like, I really want to work for this person. I've been talking to them for 6 months. I really, really want to work for this person. And when that happens, I usually respect that and try to make it happen.
And there is ample opportunity to connect with faculty once you are here. All of our faculty present their current research, what they're working on, their latest projects, in research presentations that all the first year students attend. You have the opportunity to have meetings with faculty, to sit in on lab group meetings, and really find out a lot more about how the group works and the research that's happening and all of that. So you really have an opportunity to jump in there and make those connections. I'm not sure if there are any more questions that you may have for our students or our graduate chair or myself.
Someone asked about strengthening their statement of academic purpose. And short answer to that is I think that at least what my mentor told me when I was applying to grad school is that you don't want your SOP to just be an essay version of your resume or your CV. You want to make sure to like spice it up with your voice and your personal values and how, you know, your story has shaped you as a researcher and an engineer or scientist or whatever you are, and how that makes you unique.
Thank you, Jack.
Yes, thank you so much to the whole chemical and biomolecular engineering team. We super appreciated your time today and your involvement. We do have a little bit more time if anyone has questions, but other than that, we're going to put up our QR codes again. So if you want to request more information, look at additional events to join us for, or look at our frequently asked questions, those will be available at the end. But in case you have a question or two, you can put them up now. We have one about emission stats, but I think one of my team is going to answer that. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to hearing from you if you have more questions. But like I said, right now we're going to move to putting up our QR codes again. Should you want more frequently asked questions database, requests for more information from a program, or any additional events. We have one more PhD open house. And then we also have a coffee chat, excuse me. And then we have more ask for admissions up until that December 16th deadline. Again, the December 16th deadline for the application. Okay, I think we are good to go. Again, thanks everyone for joining us, and we will be sending this out within the week. Have a great day.